And the reason why is not about the talent. It's the fact that the coach has allowed a dysfunctional culture and has allowed any standard to be the standard.
Any standard to be the standard. Ouch.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Actualize Thoughts. I'm your host, Faith, and I have the honor of having Dr. Casper in studio.
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm glad to be here, ready to hear what the questions are.
I am
And
so
let's see
excited.
what happens. Yes.
It is another episode. I am so excited having to talk to you and hear you answer our questions. So
Yes.
today we have an interesting topic.
All right.
Our topic today is about team building.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Team building. Okay, I like that topic. You're
a person who's multifaceted and you've worked with great teams. You own Actualize Center.
Yes.
So tell us, what is team building?
All right. Good question. To me, I'll say, from a leadership perspective, team building is about putting the team players in their strengths, in the spaces and the places that they're more likely to be most effective and efficient in what they do. And so team building is that's part one.
Okay.
And then part two is, once everybody's in their right place, causing everyone to work with cohesion.
Yes.
And so team building includes the individuals being in the right place, because if people are in the wrong place, the cogs will crash.
Yes.
And then number two, enabling people to now come together and then grow together. So people do a lot of exercises, blah, 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 but ultimately, what is the goal? To get people to be familiar in terms of working together, but in order to do that, we first have to put the right things in the right place.
And how do you find the right people to put them together in the right teams?
All right, and one of the greatest gifts of a great leader is recruitment, retainment, but first, before those two, the marks of a great leader is how you grow what you have.
How you grow what you have.
Or you prune what you get.
How you prune it, okay.
So a lot of people think the solution to all their problems is recruiting and looking for the right team players.
Okay.
But even if you get the best players, you put them in the wrong environment, they still will have a very hard time producing a championship. You're right. So the first thing is, to create a good team, you must nurture the right garden.
Okay.
Don't plant good seeds somewhere that it's barren, the soil is bad.
Ooh.
There you go, now you get it.
Like you plant roses on a rocky place.
Yeah. So what you want to do is find the right culture. Foster the right culture. Without culture, team building is like planting on a stone, to be quite honest.
Okay.
All right? And so in order to culture the right way, right? And so that's why I say, like, when you want to plant a garden, you tilt the soil, you take care of the soil, you remove the weeds,
Okay.
you remove some of the gravel that's on the soil, and maybe even bring topsoil sometimes, okay? And the idea here is culture helps in continuation and the perpetuation of good teams.
Yeah.
There are things you won't need to struggle with in life as a leader if you have the right culture.
What is the culture of Actualize? As an example.
As an example, oh wow. Today I'm being thrown the big questions.
Surprise.
The big surprise questions. The culture of Actualize comes down to this. We are about purpose, people, and profits.
Those are great qualities
Okay?
to have.
Those are the qualities that we are trying to nurture, and we're trying to create an environment where our team is continuously in the right places.
Okay.
where our team are continuously growing as leaders. But in order to do that, we also want to foster an environment that perpetuates that. All right? Because otherwise, you have to come back and redo and redo and
Yeah.
redo the same thing. And so we set a standard.
Okay.
And we don't compromise that standard.
The key is not to compromise.
There you go. A lot of people compromise the standard because they feel like they have to bow down to superstars. They have to bow down to everybody's idea.
Yeah.
Now, the core thing is this. Good ideas are great to input, like nutrients to soil. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you can't take up everything.
You have to have a filter.
You have to have a filter. So when you talk about Actualize, we know what we are about. We know what type of environment we want. We don't want a toxic environment. We don't. What I'm talking about are all the things that people see when you talk about team building. A lot of people think like, okay, now what games do you propose? What exercises can we do? What test can we? That's what most people want, right? Like, oh, you're talking about team building.
We are going to have a team building event where we play games and sports.
There you go. Now, a lot of people want. There you go. A lot of people want that. But in truth, think about America. Most workplaces are just strangers.
True.
After all those games, people don't even talk. They play games, and in the middle of the games, they're on their phones. So in reality, there is no culture, there is really no team building. What I'm talking about is if you really want to create a team, and if you're really talking about team culture, and if you're really talking about building a team, where do I get this? I get it from, I used to play college football, believe it or not. I played American college football.
Ooh,
Okay?
wow.
And so I played a little bit in high school. I was part of a team. And what I realized is...
What part of the team were you? I'm curious.
Oh, I was on the defensive line. I was a defender. I'm really, I think one way I'm kind of geared on the defensive side, right? I do better even in
like
soccer.
It's one of your strengths.
Yeah. So I believe because when you're playing defense, you have to look at the big picture. I think the best captains are defenders,
Sure.
right? And so the big picture of a defensive player, that's what I like to do in football, whether it was in soccer, even maybe in basketball. I think that was my strength, right? But what I learned is it was not so much about exercises in terms of having those parties. It was really about culture.
Yeah.
There are teams that just win. There are teams that just lose. And the reason why is not about the talent. It's the fact that the coach has allowed a dysfunctional culture and has allowed any standard to be the standard.
Any standard to be the standard. Ouch.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's say I'm a new CEO. How
All
do I
right.
put this?
Yeah.
I want to come up with. I just started my company.
Yes.
And I want to have the right environment, the right culture, like you mentioned.
Yes.
And I want to find the right people. So you did say I do not compromise.
Yeah.
How do I lay out that culture where like I introduce people and I find the right people? I do. I have set the values, and now I want to start my company. How do I?
You want to recruit your team.
Yes.
All right. It starts with the head. Are you the right person?
Ooh, Lord. But I'm just starting the company.
Yeah, but are you the right person? Not in starting the company. Are you the right person? Do you actually hold a good culture within your own self?
Ooh, Lord.
Right? So before you start talking about, I've found so many people starting companies, businesses, ideas, and they are really not good. They're not good with people.
Sure.
A lot of entrepreneurs are passionate, are very good at what they want to produce, but they're not people. They're not organizational people. This is why most founders are not their CEOs of their companies. Right? A lot of founders are not the CEOs. They found when they create something major, what they do is they normally get an older, more person who understands how to run a company, and that becomes a CEO, and they play a supportive role in some other way. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
The reason why that happens is inventing, starting something doesn't necessarily make you a leader, and doesn't actually mean you're actually the right person to be the CEO. Now that's hard for people to hear because egos, right? Which is something.
I started this company. I want to be the boss.
Exactly, and that's the challenge. And so, as a leader, what I will ask you first is, okay, you founded something, you have great ideas, you have great inventions. Are you a good leader? It starts with you.
Okay.
So you need the right coaching. You need the right mentorship. You may be a genius at inventing a car. You may be a genius at inventing a tech company. But you may be so bad that nobody wants to work with you. And people quit on you, so you keep on developing and you keep on inputting in people, and then they keep leaving you.
Yeah.
Because, so, look at some of the greatest inventors of our times. Especially when they're young, they're terrible. They lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of the leadership perspective. So when you're talking about team culture, it starts with me. Have I discovered who I am? Have I looked at my weaknesses when I'm dealing with people?
Weaknesses.
Have I looked at how I train people? When you are starting something, everybody becomes part of the machine. You don't see people as people, to be quite honest. You're so passionate about that thing. You don't understand, why don't you guys want to sacrifice your families and work for 80 hours like me? But that's your passion.
Yeah.
That's this is your founding. They've just come to support you. Right? What they're exchanging is their blood, sweat, and tears to build you up. Now, if you think they're just a paycheck, then that's the relationship you'll have, and that's the team you'll create. And guess what? The moment they get a bigger company, a better company, they'll get out. They'll be out. They'll be out. And that's why you're going to have low retention. So the real big question here is, you say you want team culture, you say you want team building, which is the topic that was chosen.
Yeah.
But again, I always talk about foundations. Foundationally, are you the right leader? Are you a good enough leader? Are you humble enough to be mentored, to be trained, to become a leader others can follow? If you are, then that's step one. Because once you're a leader, you learn how to create leaders.
Let us hear from you and share any other topics that you would like us to tackle. We have Dr. Casper to answer all our questions. So thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.